There I was, a nice young MG-driving white girl from Hollins, whose mother was urging her to join the Junior League, working on Broad Street in Newark, not far from the riot-torn ghetto. It was an eye-opening experience. In August, the McCarthy campaign sent out word that staffers and volunteers should stay away from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, so I watched it on TV from the comfort of home. In the aftermath of the MLK and RFK assassinations, Chicago was the apex of counterculture protest. For 5 days, thousands of Chicago police fought demonstrators in the streets, while nearby, in the International Amphitheater, the Democratic Party selected Vice President Hubert Humphrey as its presidential nominee. By the time I returned to campus for my senior year, I had become Hollins's version of a campus activist. Granted, I didn't build bombs or take over the administration building, but I had changed. I went to Charlottesville to hear blues singer Janis Joplin give us Another Piece of My Heart. I went to civil rights meetings. And in my own decorous way, I did something audacious. I invited the college president to the campus dining hall as part of a campaign to allow Hollins students to wear pants. As a measure of exactly how radical I was, I took the defiantly militant step of wearing pants to the meeting. Lo and behold, soon enough, the rules were changed. It wasn't exactly rabble-rousing, but it was my first taste of political success, and I loved it. In the summer of 1970, I moved to Washington, D.C. I had learned about a new nonpartisan grassroots citizens lobby called Common Cause that focused on campaign finance reform, election reform, accountability, and the media. I arrived when the organization was just 6 months old. Our first goal was to end the Vietnam War. Common Cause took a less attention-getting but more pragmatic tack than those used by most anti-war groups. Its goal was to cut off the federal funds that allowed the war to continue. My job was to oversee a small army of volunteers to mobilize public pressure on senators and representatives to pass our agenda. We didn't have the money that the special interests had, but we had created a new kind of organization as a counterweight, a citizens' lobby that harnessed the voices of ordinary Americans. I focused on organizing volunteer lobbying groups in congressional districts, and on keeping volunteers informed and excited so they would work successfully. In addition to our anti-war efforts, we initiated campaign finance reform legislation to limit how much money individuals and organizations could give to candidates, to make those contributions public, and to establish an independent organization to oversee campaign financing. Campaign finance reform wasn't the kind of issue that captured the imagination of the American people. But it soon became clear that our work was part of something much bigger. In 1971, Common Cause sued the Democratic and Republican parties, asserting that both parties were ignoring the Federal Campaign Practices Act of 1925. In response, Congress quickly passed the Federal Election Campaign Act to increase disclosure of campaign contributions. The law went into effect on April 7, 1972, just as the new presidential season got underway. The names of the Republican donors soon turned out to have enormous historic value. The reason? 3 months later, on June 17, 1972, 5 men paid by Nixon's Committee to Re-elect the President, aptly shortened to CREEP, broke into and entered the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee in the Watergate complex in Washington. Over the next 2 years, as the Watergate scandal unraveled on national TV, the names of those donors became essential to following the money, which was the key to getting to the bottom of the entire scandal. And the reason those names became public was that Common Cause sued CREEP, thereby forcing it to reveal who had contributed millions of dollars, much of it cash literally stuffed into suitcases and satchels. As a result,